just happened in this hearing, because this wasn't routine oversight. This was a direct accusation of presidential corruption tied to national security. Senator Elizabeth Warren confronted a top financial regulator over reports that a United Arab Emirates national security official, described as the country's top spy, secretly purchased a 49% stake in Donald Trump's crypto venture just days before inauguration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So last month, the Wall Street Journal reported on a story about ties between Donald Trump and the top spy in the United Arab Emirates, who is the president's brother and the country's national security advisor. He is actually called Spy Sheikh. A few days before Trump was sworn into office, this spy spent $500 million to secretly acquire a 49% stake in Trump's crypto company. So what does the UAE's top spy get for his $500 million? Well, the Trump administration agreed to sell the UAE our most sensitive AI chips. Our own national security experts say the UAE and the Spy Sheikh's companies may be a conduit for funneling high tech to China, technology that strengthens China militarily. Now, right now, Trump's crypto company, World Liberty, has a bank charter application pending with the OCC, an agency that the president controls. Comptroller Gould, you run the OCC. Did World Liberty disclose in its application that the Spy Sheikh's company was a principal shareholder in the proposed bank?
Senator, thank you for the question. I'm not going to discuss the specifics of any application.
Are you telling us you won't tell that whether or not they disclosed it? Do you acknowledge that it is supposed to be disclosed, principal shareholders?
Senator, unlike the last 4 years of the Biden administration, under President Trump's leadership, we are actually doing what we say we'll do. And I would refer you to
Well, let's see if you're doing what you say you will do. Like all applicants for a bank charter, the OCC regulations require World Liberty to disclose all principal shareholders, which are persons with at least a 10% direct or indirect stake in the proposed bank. Those insiders must file a biographical and financial report with the agency. Failure to do so would be grounds for dismissal of the application. Evidently, you have not dismissed the application, so I assume the disclosure was made. Will you show Chairman Scott and me an unredacted application so that we can see that for ourselves and see that you are, in fact, following the law?
Senator, the only thing to which I will commit is following our established procedures, which are outlined in the regulations that you provided, as well as the 131 pages of the Comptroller's licensing manual. We are the banking committee, and we have oversight here.
I would like to see, in camera, it is non-public, I would like to see that along with Chairman Scott. I would like to see that application just to ascertain that the appropriate disclosures have been made. Will you commit to doing that?
Senator, I will be happy to entertain your request and discuss with my team and make sure that we're doing and affording you the same privileges that we have afforded past administrations.
I don't know that anyone's ever had to ask that before, because I don't think any president has ever had a pending bank application before. Now, President Trump's crypto company is now at the center of perhaps the most disgraceful presidential corruption scandal in U.S. history. An American president who sells out our national security to make money for himself. And if you grant World Liberty a bank charter, you will be a party to that. So, Comptroller Gould, given the clear national security risks posed by UAE ownership of a U.S. bank, President Trump's huge financial conflicts that we've just talked about, and your own conflict, given that you serve at the pleasure of that same president, will you deny or at least delay review of World Liberty's application?
Senator, consistent with my statutory obligations, we will process that application as we process all applications. And I would note that the only political pressure I have felt from any part of the United States government, Senator, is from you.
Well, it is pressure to follow the law. If you follow the law, you will reject the president's application. As soon as you approve that application, and we all know you're going to approve it, you go from being a cheerleader for President Trump to an accomplice in his corruption. Now, let me see if I can just get to one other problem, and that is not just doing Trump's bidding, but also doing Wall Street's bidding. We know, Vice Chair Bowman, that reducing capital cushions at mega banks increases the likelihood of crashes and taxpayer bailouts. I did some research. Turns out that your rulemaking would reduce required capital at the largest banks by more than $200 billion, or 23% for the big bank companies. I will submit a question for the record so that I don't go over. But This is entirely contrary to your own comments that you would not put our nation at risk. You are doing so.
$500 million, that's not a small investment. That's leverage. And according to reporting cited in the hearing, after that investment, the Trump administration approved the sale of highly sensitive AI chips to the UAE technology that U.S. experts have warned could potentially be routed to China. So Warren asked the question that cuts to the core, what exactly did the UAE get for that money? And here's where it gets even more serious. Trump's crypto company, World Liberty, now has a bank charter application pending before the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the federal agency that regulates and charters national banks. That agency reports to the Treasury Department and ultimately the president. Warren pressed the Comptroller directly. Did the application disclose that this foreign national security official was a principal shareholder? Because under OCC rules, anyone with 10% or more ownership must be disclosed. Biographical and financial reports must be filed. Failure to disclose is grounds for dismissal. The response? Refusal to discuss specifics, and that's where the tension escalated. Warren requested to review the unredacted application in camera, meaning privately, consistent with oversight authority. The answer was bureaucratic deflection. Then Warren dropped the line that defined the hearing. This may be the most disgraceful presidential corruption scandal in U.S. history. That's a massive claim. So let's unpack what she's arguing. She's saying a sitting president has a direct financial stake in a company accepted $500 million from a foreign intelligence linked figure. That same administration approved sensitive technology exports to that country, MIT. And now that same company is seeking federal banking approval that is a textbook conflict of interest scenario. And it's not theoretical. A bank charter would grant regulatory legitimacy, expanded financial privileges, and increased access to the U.S. financial system. Warren's warning wasn't subtle. She told the Comptroller that approving the application would make him an accomplice. The Comptroller pushed back, saying the only political pressure he feels is from Warren herself. But here's the thing about oversight. It is pressure. It's supposed to be. Congress's job is to question regulators when presidential financial interests intersect with foreign governments, especially those with national security implications. Now zoom out. This isn't just about crypto. It's not just about one investment. It's about whether regulatory agencies operate independently when the president's personal financial interests are involved. And Warren didn't stop there. She pivoted to another issue, proposed reductions in capital requirements for the largest banks. Cuts, she says, could reduce required capital cushions by over $200 billion. Capital requirements exist for one reason, to prevent financial collapse and taxpayer bailouts. When regulators loosen those requirements, the risk shifts back to the public. So the hearing revealed two parallel concerns. One, potential conflicts of interest tied to foreign investment and presidential business dealings. Two, regulatory decisions that could benefit Wall Street while increasing systemic risk. The broader question isn't partisan, it's structural. Can a president maintain vast personal business interests, including financial ventures seeking federal approval without creating unavoidable conflicts? The framers of the Constitution worried deeply about foreign influence. That's why the Emoluments Clause exists. That's why disclosure laws exist. That's why independent regulators are supposed to operate without political interference. If a foreign intelligence-linked figure can inject $500 million into a president's company while federal approvals are pending, that's not just optics. That's a governance problem. And Warren's message was clear. Follow the law. Disclose the ownership. And don't rubber stamp the application, whether you agree with her tone or not. The stakes are serious. Because when personal profit, foreign money, national security technology, and federal bank approvals collide, public trust is on the line. And once that erodes, it's very hard to rebuild.